Hello, welcome to our YouTube channel. Today's video I'm going to cover a couple of little tips or ideas which will help you grow some fantastic grapes in Britain. Hi and welcome to the first video we've ever done on YouTube. I'm James, a part of a two-person team who run a vineyard in Wales. That's right, Wales. You can grow grapes in Wales, it turns out. And in fact, you can grow some really good grapes that you can make some great wine with. So we planted a vineyard in Wales. That's obviously a great idea. This time of year, well, we've just finished pruning before I decided to start doing videos, which was a mistake because there's a whole load of content there, but that'll come next year. What we are doing now though is some really interesting, maybe not so interesting, but really important jobs. So I'm in a block that was planted 2 years ago. Last year the vines grew and they grew up to like up here somewhere. But what they were really doing was growing a trunk. So if we look down here, this bit of stick here is a vine, and that is the trunk that the vine has formed, and it will be on the vine forevermore. So it's really important in that year to grow a really big trunk because it'll support the growth of the vine going forward. So this really important but slightly boring job involves making sure that trunk is nice and straight. So how do we make a nice straight trunk, James? Simple. What we do is we tie the trunk to this little metal pole here. Let's have a look down here if we can. There's a little metal pole here. We tie the vine to that using these little rubber ties, and a couple of those, and hey presto, it will then stay nice and stuck vertical upright on the trellis. The other very exciting thing that we're doing is we're swapping or just changing some of the vine guards. As you can see, all of these vines have got these little guards. So you can see them here, you can see them here, you see them here. So you can see they're about 60 centimetres long on most of them. And what they're there to do is, in years before you have this trunk, animals, rabbits, badgers, other things could come along and eat the trunk, or eat the sort of fleshy green leaves and the fleshy trunk that's forming last year. Fortunately, we've formed a trunk that's kind of a lot more woody now, so we're a lot less worried about something coming to eat it. So you could, in theory, take that guard off because we don't need it anymore. We don't need that guard really. Its job's fulfilled. It's done. However, the way we grow grapes on the vineyard is that we don't. We're kind of what we'd call low intervention. So we're not organic, we're not biodynamic, but we don't use pesticides and herbicides. So conventionally what people do is spray a herbicide, so Roundup, under the vines, and that would keep all the weeds away. We don't do that, which makes our lives slightly more difficult. And maybe in a future video we'll talk about herbicides, but that's for another day. But what I do end up doing is a lot of strimming, and it's really annoying. It's really hard work. It takes forever, and one thing you have to be really careful of is that you don't strim through your vine, because that is bad. In fact it's very bad, because you're going to have a high risk of infections getting into your vine, or you could just kill it. So what I'm planning to do, or what I am doing now, is replacing these longer guards with a cut-off shorter version. And that shorter version is only really there to protect against the strimmer. It's not really there to protect against animals eating the vines, because I don't really care anymore. But it's also another good reason for it, because when the vines are very tall, it's very hard to get your hand in there to knock off all the water shoots that grow. So essentially a vine every year just wants to shove shoots out everywhere, and what it wants to do is kind of go everywhere. What we want to do is make sure that trunk doesn't have any, because it's just there to grow up into the trellis. So it's very hard to do with the long guards, but when I've made my short guards, it's much easier. So what I've done, I've made a very clever jig, and I'm chopping them in half, and then they're just about the right size to then slip back on. So they're going to protect against my strimmer, my low quality strimming, but it's also going to make my life easy, so I don't so when I come to take those buds off when it starts growing, it makes my life a bit easier. Anyway, I've recorded some footage of this, as you can see, and that's it. So, is this a good video? I don't know. I think there's probably only about 4 or 5 people on all of the internet who want to watch this, but if you do, you're welcome. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this. I'm going to do a lot of more videos coming up about how to do stuff in the vineyard, and we are planting some more vines this year, so I'll do a whole series, I think, on how to plant a vineyard. So if that's something you're interested in, please tune in. Bye!